In the late 1980s, Mike Pondsmith and the team at Altar Saurian Games defined something unique in cyberpunk lore: cyberpsychosis. You see, it wasn't just about chrome overload, it was about what happens when technology bends your perception of reality. By Cyberpunk 2020, stories had already begun circulating of cyberpsychos. People like John Neptune, an OTEC diver so cybered up with aquatic implants that he genuinely believed he was the king of the sea. Notably, he wasn't a crazed killer, he just had a very warped view of himself. Some cyberpsychos were killers, others didn't even have that much cyberware before they went mad, others were just weird. But all of them had one thing in common: their minds no longer aligned with the world everyone else lived in, a mind like RACHE BARTMOSS's. Let's dive in and explore why RACHE BARTMOSS was one of the most dangerous cyberpsychos in Cyberpunk. In the 2000s on the timeline, a young netrunner named RACHE BARTMOSS rose from obscurity to become a legend. Not for money, not for loyalty, but for chaos, to stick it to corporations who were a bane for net surveillance. By 2013, RACHE, Spider Murphy and old Cunningham were already shaping the net. They roamed the old net, spending time together in the Pacifica region of the net. Pacifica was the wild frontier of the old net. A vast digital ocean with glowing island fortresses and long stretches of empty void. It was unstable, with uplinks and connections appearing like neon bridges across darkness, making it beautiful but risky and hard to police. The chaos made it an ideal playground of RACHE, Spider Murphy and old Cunningham, who thrived in its lawlessness. RACHE even claimed Pacifica itself was a vast AI bending perception, a theory most dismissed as part of his madness, although he probably wasn't wrong. After all, RACHE had a lot of experience dealing with artificial intelligences and can be said to be an expert on them, though his explanations kind of sound somewhat like ramblings to people like Spider Murphy. He knows exactly how artificial intelligences come into being and how to set up environments to facilitate their creation. He's also pretty aware of their psychological makeup, even calling them friends. RACHE casually drops that he and an AI are very relatable as they're both schizophrenic. One rogue AI split himself into separate packages. He's a little schizophrenic, but so am I, so when we get together we have an instant crowd. This line here is pretty much the foundation of his madness. Of course, people can live quite normal lives more or less with schizophrenia. They manage it and do wonderful things. It's just that they don't tend to go around destroying the net though. While I don't think RACHE is necessarily evil, as characters tend to be morally grey and cyberpunk and cyberpsychosis is meant to reflect real-world psychosis, this is just part of the evidence that RACHE did have some screws loose. RACHE saw the net as the true reality and cyberspace was where you woke up. When Alt said,
"Saying the more I'm here, the more I lose touch with the outside, with reality."
You lose nothing. Cyberspace is where we awake from what we know as dreams.
RACHE seemed to truly believe this. He had a very net-oriented perspective of life and reality. To him, the net was the real world. RACHE has never believed in borders, discrimination, travel restrictions, secrets, conventions, rules, or anything inhibiting free and total communication. And while most netrunners dipped in and out of cyberspace, RACHE chose to spend long stretches of time in the net, even by the standards of Spider Murphy, staying in the net while it was even being remodeled by the Inhara Grob transformation algorithms in 2014, which gave the net their uniform look and feel. While it's a crazy feat, seeing as his heart actually stopped for 10 seconds at the time, RACHE took the opportunity to implant the Rabbids viruses into the net, but more on those insane things later. By the 2020s, RACHE had wired himself into a freezer, a completely normal thing to do of course, living in a net while his flesh slowly froze. His freezer doubled as a life support machine, and at some point RACHE's body had essentially given up, maybe from neglect, or perhaps he got tagged by a corporation or AI. Spider-Murphy tells us he won't talk about the incident, but RACHE jokes that dying was boring, like being stuck in Cleveland with a cyber modem. To Spider-Murphy, this was madness. She later reflected, "It's a wonder he didn't go psycho on us. My guess is that he had a natural instinct for the net. The wires felt natural to him." RACHE was the best netrunner Spider-Murphy knew, but she was definitely taking copium here. RACHE was indeed mad, eccentric, brilliant, but an absolute self-deluded runner, as proven by his next action. In 2020, during the Fourth Corporate War, RACHE launched his most infamous creation, the Rabbids. Standing for Raving Autonomous Bartmoss Interface Drones, viruses modelled on his own personality, carrying his face and probably his mannerisms as well, as they were his literal digital clones. Apparently, their original design was to smash open corporate fortresses and free their data, in line with Bartmoss's philosophy. But they didn't stop there, according to Cyberpunk Red. They corrupted 78% of the old net. They mutated existing AIs into rogue intelligences. They became impossible to eradicate, even by Netwatch. In effect, RACHE BARTMOSS turned the net into a nightmare, and because the Rabbids were his digital clones, their chaos was his chaos. You can see how RACHE BARTMOSS can be easily written into future games and lore, and could even be an antagonist. Even though technically he is dead, his clones still roam. Accounts of his death differ. In Firestorm Stormfront, written in 1997, RACHE was cornered by corporate forces in a quiet apartment block. The residents were unknowingly his drones, subtly programmed into a hive. He essentially enslaved his own neighbors for his own defense, brainwashing them to do his bidding. Women, children, men alike were used against any attackers. Outsiders were greeted with disturbing hospitality if they arrived at the building. But if you were to attack the building, you would realize that the old woman who came out to greet you with a pie was pulling out a hidden pistol. A teenager on a skateboard would suddenly pull out twin guns, and a sobbing girl running towards you with her hands over her ears would have grenades in them. Inside his lair, RACHE's frozen body waited in a fridge wired into the net. When the attackers reached him, music blared, confetti fell, and the building imploded. A psychotic joke from a man who had already scurried into the net probably. In Cyberpunk Red, the tale is shorter. Arasaka dropped an orbital strike on him. No theatrics, no drones, just corporate scorched earth. Which version is true? Maybe both. Maybe Stormfront describes the raid and Red describes the cleanup. Either way, RACHE died as he lived, mocking everyone else. Because 2 weeks after his apparent death, his dead man switch activated. The DataKrash Rabbids virus spread worldwide. The old net collapsed. Commerce stalled. Governments and corporations panicked. Rogue AIs were mutated and set free to roam by Bartmoss's clones. And it can be said that anything RACHE's digital clones did, he would want to do. And given his close relationship with artificial intelligences, he probably wanted to set them free on purpose. As Cyberpunk Red explains, the single act forced humanity into the walled-off Black Wall era. All modern net architecture, including the net in Cyberpunk 2077, exists in the shadow of Bartmoss's madness. So, was RACHE BARTMOSS a cyberpsycho? Let's tally. He unleashed thousands of virus versions of himself. He enslaved his neighbors into drones. He turned his own death into performance art. He crippled the world's net permanently. He had a severe mental illness, and RACHE did untold amounts of damage. And while he didn't go on a physical killing spree, he technically did on the net. By the time of Cyberpunk 2077, RACHE is long dead, but his shadow lingers, the rabid still roam, rogue AI still trace back to his viruses. Netwatch's dystopian surveillance exists because of him. RACHE BARTMOSS was not just the net runner, he was the man who burned down the net. A prankster, a terrorist, a visionary, and arguably the worst cyber psycho in cyberpunk history. Not because he wielded chrome or guns, but because he weaponized madness itself. And if CDPR ever decides to bring him back like they did with Alt, it'll be interesting to face him. But what do you think? Do you think RACHE BARTMOSS is a cyber psycho or not? Let me know if you enjoyed the video. I'm glad you made it this far if you're still listening. Anyway, Troom, take care of yourself and I'll see you in the next one.